I know, right? It's even harder to mess up to do it.
I do lasting power journey.
So I run Cycle 360 now.
Do you, right?
Yeah. Obviously didn't start my journey there, so I just want to start today by telling you a little bit about myself and then going through 10 points which really have helped me in my business journey to understand my mindset and to grow as a business owner through a company that has turned over millions and millions of pounds. So, as I say, business owner of 22 years. My main business has been in the recruitment world of care workers and nurses, supplying those to care homes and nursing homes. Over those 22 years, we've turned over 37 million, and in the past 5 years, we've done 10 to 12 million turnover. So, my struggles as a person, as a business owner, up to 5 years ago when I started getting personal coaching, there is a very successful group called the Gold Circle, which runs in and around Essex and London. Started getting some really high-end coaching as part of that group, coaching from people who have been on Dragon's Den, people who have won The Apprentice, and understanding people who are working at hundreds of millions of pounds, and understanding that actually those people have the same struggles as people like myself, people like anybody that's in this room as well. And then really where I'm at now is I'm actually exiting my recruitment company. We're selling, and then I have my future ambitions. The sheets that are on the seats there, I will get to on one of the points when I start talking a little bit more about what I do and how I've learned to really manage myself as a person and really get my mindset right in order to become a multi-million pound business owner. So the importance of growth mindset. So understanding how a business grows and then dealing with that as it happens. You start to manage people, you start to get management teams within your business, and actually recruitment is quite a hard game. So when we're recruiting the different levels in our recruitment company, for example, we have the care workers that go out to work, we have the office workers, we have the drivers that transport them to and from work. And starting to grow and to be able to recruit the right people in your business helps you to really have that correct support, and to be able to then have the confidence in the staff to be able to grow to a company that has 200 people in the business. So point number two is positive attitude. I think that on the surface of it, everybody is really confident when you're in front of somebody, but understanding the day-to-day, your family life, everything that goes with being a business owner and being able to stay positive on a regular basis is having a coach and having a mentor or somebody that you can lean on to be able to share your thoughts with, the good, the bad and the ugly, is something that is absolutely essential to making sure that you can grow your business, understand the products in your business and making sure that your margins are right in your business, again to be able to grow and scale and to be able to employ more people in your company. So resilience and persistence. So for me, I go through times in my business where things are amazing, and then I go through times when things are really tough. Suddenly, the bottom can fall out of the jar, and you sometimes wake up thinking, what am I doing? Is this the right thing? And I've had times where I felt like that, but also when the business is doing great, and I just think, what am I doing here? And then kind of the next day I'll wake up and think, you know what, actually this is a great business, everything's good, and then I carry on again. And it all comes down to mindset, and sometimes you've got to make sure that you don't make decisions that are sort of snap judgments. You've got to make sure that you don't just make those quick decisions, and you give yourself time, you take a step away from the business, and just give yourself time to breathe so that you can make sure that you are, making those correct decisions, leaning on your mentors when you need them, and that you've got the correct staff in your company in order to make those correct decisions for that next stage of growth. So number 4, embracing failure. Kind of similar to what I just said, but as quickly as you can scale a business, you have to have a strategy to be able to almost downscale a business as well. So, failure is not failure if you learn from it, right? Does everyone agree with that? Absolutely. If you are making a mistake and you do not learn from that mistake, then that's potentially failure. However, if you embrace those, quote, mistakes, and you're in a position where you can learn from them and then grow your business out from there, then you're embracing it and you're not making it a failure for yourself. So 5, the self-belief and the confidence. So for me personally, when I first started speaking and talking to people, I didn't want to be on stage. I didn't want to talk to people. I felt nervous. My heart used to race, and it was quite exciting in a way. But also, you just have to believe in yourself. What you learn from talking and networking and speaking to people and everything that goes with it is that you always improve as time goes on. You've got to make sure that you've got that self-belief, you've got that confidence in yourself, and that you're always learning. As a business owner, for 22 years I've been doing what I've been doing, and I never stopped learning. Even coming to events like today, meeting new people, new opportunity, not just for myself but for other people. And I always feel that my core values are around that, and just making sure that you never know who's going to be in the room, you never know who you're going to connect with, and you've just got to make sure that you've got that self-belief and that confidence to do that. Sorry, mouth going a little dry there, just getting a little bit of water. So the next thing is goal setting and mindset alignment. So what you've got on your chairs there is something that I got taught several years ago. So once a year I fill one of these forms in, and this is not to give back to me, this is for yourself. If you look through that form, you'll see that there's some different parts on there. There's your dreams, excuses, tools that you need. That's the first side. You've then got your 12-month goals, your reasons to succeed, and the actions that you need to take. So progressively over the past 5 years since I've been having coaching, I have filled one of these in each year, and at least once a month I just have a look at that sheet. That is not to show somebody else, it's your commitment to yourself to grow yourself as a person, grow yourself as a business owner. My goals on that sheet last year were pretty ambitious. I had no idea how I was going to achieve them, literally absolutely no idea. I'm about 6 weeks out from the last time that I filled that form in, and I realised that my 2 biggest goals was paying off my house with my mortgage and buying a house in Dubai without taking another mortgage. That was 2 of my goals. The other one was to buy a particular car that there's no way I could have afforded. And I wanted an American motorhome just to throw it into the mix. So I put them all down, and then I looked at my excuses, the tools I need, how I'm going to do it. What I didn't know 11 months ago was that to achieve those 2 big things, the 2 mortgages, the 2 properties in 2 countries, was to actually sell my existing business. I didn't realise the value, the millions that company was worth that we've built up over 22 years. And then I realised that actually, this is just part of my business journey. I may have put 22 years into that, but actually to achieve these things, I can do it now. And I'm in that process now. We're about to sell that company, and I'm about to move on to the next stage of my business career. And this sheet is a big part of doing that, having it written down and holding yourself accountable. It's really important that as a business owner and just as a person, that if you can do that, then you'll find that you can start to achieve your goals much quicker. So number 7, adaptability and flexibility. We don't always get it right first time. You have to make sure that you're adaptable. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay for people to tell you that you're wrong. Some of the biggest stuff that I've learned through business has actually been from people that I've employed. I don't hold my employees in regard to me at a lower level. I've actually got a really good guy that works for me right now, a young lad called Josh. And I brought him into the business and I mentored him and coached him into the position he's in. And he comes up with some amazing ideas. He now works in my marketing team. And he comes up with some incredible ideas for our business. He now heads up all of our email marketing campaigns. He does follow-up campaigns and he wins business for the company. And because I gave him the time, he is rewarded and he now has, at least this is what I think, a position for life. Maybe he doesn't, right? Maybe he's the next entrepreneur, I don't know. But, you know, the point is that, you know, you have to be adaptable, you have to be flexible, and always understand the worth of other people in your business is really important. So number 8, mindfulness and stress. So again, before I spoke publicly, I used to get a lot of stress, mindfulness. I used to get concerned about speaking on stage, worried about what people thought of me. When I first learned to do to do video for social media, I used to worry about the angle that I looked at, or maybe my double chin or my belly or whatever it was. And actually you learn that people don't care about that stuff. People care about you and they care about, you know, yourself, you as a person, and actually what you can do for them and what they can do for you. And I think once you get past all of that stuff, you know, you actually can excel very, very quickly. So building a growth-orientated team. So it's interesting, within the recruitment company, we have always recruited people who have never done the job role before. So specifically my recruitment team, we took people on who had never done the job before, and we moulded them in the way that we wanted them. With the care worker team, a lot of care companies won't take people on who don't have experience, and I just think that's crazy, because you have to have a buffer of new people coming through all the time, and you have to grow people and develop people, and actually sometimes people come back, you know, from other companies with experience, and they have bad habits, and it's really good to grow a team, and it's always good to invest in younger people in your business, and, you know, develop them the way that you want, and you'll find that those people have your back a lot more sometimes than people who have been in your industry or in other sectors a lot more. So, you know, the growth of your team is really important. And then number 10 is continuous learning and personal development. So, as I've said, myself, I've had coaching for 5 years, quite high profile people, met a lot of people who are famous, turning over 100 million a year, a lot further ahead than I am now than I was when I started. But it's really important to make sure you have somebody to turn to, make sure it's not somebody in your family, somebody in your inner circles, so that you can be honest with them, whether business is amazing, whether business is terrible, whether you haven't started your business, whether you're afraid to start your business. It's really important to have that mentor and somebody that can help you and can coach you with really, you know, where you need to go. And if I was to give away a key thing that I've learned for free, it would always be about reverse engineering. You know, where are you today is great, but where do you want to be? What's the end goal? Is that, you know, a value in money? Is it the company at a certain size? Is it something else? And once you know what your end goal is, you can reverse engineer that back to today, to where you are, where you want to go, and then you can start to fill in those building blocks with things like the sheet that you've got on the seat there, to understand yourself, your business, and where you want to go. And look, if anybody in this room never worked with me, make sure that you get mentoring, make sure that you get business coaching, and make sure that you've got that in place for the future always, so that you can grow your business. Of course, if you want to work with me, that's absolutely fine as well. I am here and I can talk to you, but it is the best advice I could ever give to anybody. So that's me. My name's Kalvin Morris, Obsessed to Success, and thank you for listening. learning my profit and loss and cash flow forecasting. When I first got taught it, it was so alien to me. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand sales, cost of sales, gross profit, net profit, overheads, everything that goes into a business. And I think somebody asked me once, and they said, if you could give me one tip, what would it be? And it's just learn profit and loss forecasting, cash flow forecasting. But I actually found that quite challenging. I'm quite good at maths. My English is terrible in terms of English literature. I'm not very good at that, but I'm very good at maths. But once I've got it, I just live on spreadsheets now. I love a good spreadsheet.
If you have to change one thing, going back to 20 years ago, what will you change?
I wouldn't change anything. And I'll tell you why, because I learned a lot and I'm still learning now. And I think if I didn't make the mistakes or have the relationships that I have, or have like the losses in my life of people that, you know, should be here that aren't, and all of those things, it probably wouldn't be moulding me into who I am today.
So what will you do to the young Kalvin who wanted to start their business now? Where will you help?
So we actually launched our business as a franchise for that reason, and I think that offering people that help, you know, if everybody understands what a franchise model is, that's exactly the reason why people buy a franchise, into a trusted brand from somebody who knows what they're doing. So yeah.
So rather than any new one, rather than going to the 22 years of journey, they can do it in 6 months or 12 months.
And that's pretty much my pitch. I say, look, you could do this on your own, you could start up and be marginally successful, but here's the process, the procedure, the software systems and the mentoring to enable you to go, you know, within 6 months and a year. And our first franchisee did exactly that, you know, and he's earning more than she has before. So, you know, I'm very much, you know, close the doors, pull the curtains and learn things. And I learned social media marketing, self-taught. Got to about £35,000 to spend with almost zero return on Facebook paid ads. And I thought, what am I doing here? I need some help. Went to a 3-day course. Off the back of that 3-day course, I think I was quite obsessed at the time with the amount of likes on a Facebook page. And I think I'd got something like 500 likes or followers on the page. Within a 3-day course, they got me to 3,000 followers. And I understood that having coaching and mentoring at that point was actually quite important. I joined their program, which is called Gold Circle, which I'm still in today. They have something called Inner Circle, I'm in that as well. And now I have personal coaches as well who work one-to-one with me. So it started from the requirement of understanding social media. I was talking to you earlier and telling you about the new social media called Fred that's come out in the past few days. So there's always a new one, something else to learn. So it came from that need of spending quite a few £1,000s, you're getting zero return. But this comes back to the mindset. I didn't give up. I thought, right, I haven't done this right. Somebody else out there knows how to do this. And that's how I got into my sort of coaching journey, and will continue. You know, I will continue to have coaching and mentoring myself, as well as helping other people.
Mental health, social health, it undercuts all of those things, and without it, we struggle to function on a day-to-day basis. Now, the sound isn't working, but I had, with permission, a little video from Joe Wicks here, which is talking about sleep and how important it is to him. And in a nutshell, what he talks about is the fact that even after just a couple of days without sleep, he loses interest in working out, which is both a hobby and a career for him. He can't be bothered cooking decent meals, he's irritable, he loses his temper with his partner, with his children, with his colleagues. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. That's when we are talking about a couple of nights lost sleep. Now, I know myself, if I decide to have one late night, one movie that goes on till 1 a.m, or one night where I decide to pretend I'm young again and go out until 3 o'clock in the morning, it takes me 5 days to recover, and woe, anyone that gets in my pants in those 4 days, because I am not necessarily very pleasant to be around. Oh no, it's now going to... don't know how to get to the next slide because it wants to play the video. Maybe if they press pause. More about sleep deprivation. So when we talk about sleep deprivation, we're talking about that sort of chronic sleep debt that we accrue. And there have been loads of studies done into this, and one of the interesting ones was done with people that were held at Guantanamo Bay. And even just having less than 6 hours sleep a night, they saw detrimental effects to their health and their well-being. And we talk about sleep deprivation, it is a form of torture, and you don't have to be held in a stressed position in a cold, dark room to experience that. If any of you have been in the same house as a child or have a baby of your own, then you are likely to have experienced that torture. Some of our clients come to us and they may have had, I don't know what's going on. I'll just keep talking. They may be surviving on 4 hours sleep a night, and we're talking awake 45 minutes throughout the night, all throughout the night, listening to babies screaming and crying, and then they are expected to go into work and perform to the best of their ability the next day. So in terms of the impact that that has on their health, when we're talking about physical health, this actually starts to have real consequences. So it increases our chance of diabetes because the lack of sleep alters the way that our bodies deal with glucose. It increases the chances of obesity because we start to produce more hunger hormones when we're overtired, and it also increases our risk of heart disease because the chemicals that come in our body when we're sleep deprived, they cause inflammation around the heart, they increase our blood pressure, and so on. In terms of our mental health, we have clients come to us, saying, I'm struggling a little bit. And that's sort of best case scenario. We have people who come to us and say, I'm suicidal, I'm thinking about harming my child, I've got postnatal depression, and a lot of that is linked to the lack of sleep. And then there's social health. So if you are tired, and a lot of companies have got great benefits these days, and they will include things like we go to the pub on a Friday night, or we bring beers in, or we do great parties at Christmas or in the summer. If you're sleep deprived, then the last thing you're going to want to do is go and make small talk with loads of people that you've been in work with all day. You just want to go home and get into bed. And even if you wanted to go, who's going to babysit for you when you've got a child that's going to scream all night and not cry? Anyone? Okay. Keep going. So we'll just get caught up. Keep going. Yeah. One more. Okay. It's fine, just do that. So, I'm losing my train of thought here. This is a test, isn't it? Good job I've had my 8 hours sleep last night. So it impacts on our social health, and they're sort of big events, and you might think, well, that doesn't matter too much, but in terms of just simple relationship building, people that are tired, they don't want to go into work and be friendly, they're irritable, they're short-tempered, and that kind of thing. We have a lot of people that come to us and say, I literally get up in the morning, sort my child out, go to work, come home, and then it's survival mode. We put the kids in bed. We, as a couple, we are like ships that cross in the night. One of us looks after the child, the other one cooks dinner, we swap, and we go to bed then because we know that the rest of the night is going to be disrupted. So people are just surviving. And again, you might be sitting here thinking that doesn't really apply to me, but currently about 36% of the workforce have children under the age of 8. And typically, for 54% of parents, their children don't sleep well until they are about 4 to 6 years old. And by well, we mean a 12-hour night's sleep, plus whatever naps they need in the day, depending on their age. So I was going to play an audio clip for you, but technology is not our friend today. So we had a we worked with a client earlier in the year. We're calling her Beverly. It's not her real name, but she's got a very high profile job over here, which is why she wanted her identity protected. But she was really good and she kept a diary for us of her experience. So one of the things she felt was sort of how naive she had been going into her maternity leave and how little sort of education there had been in her workplace. So she had booked off, I think, 5 or 6 months, and when she came to us, she was due to return to work in March. She came to us in February and she said, I'm on antidepressants, I'm struggling, I go to bed at 7 o'clock every night, I feel really down, I'm meant to be in work in a month and I cannot do it. And if it doesn't get any better, I'm going to have to rethink my career. Now this person is a real sort of high flyer and a really important role for our community. So we worked with her and she was able to then go back to her work and say, I'll be back in May. So within 10 nights, we got her little 8-month-old sleeping through the night. And it's just totally changed things for her because she can now function. She now gets to spend time with her partner and she now has a clear head and feels like actually she can go and do the job that she has worked so hard to get to and that she's paid to do. Keep going, because we can't hear her. Keep going. One more. Okay. So Beverly's journey that I've just mentioned is a very typical journey. We have a baby, can't get it to sleep, and then we start to look for help. But these are also pain points that we might see. So quite often, I think employers might be a little bit guilty of thinking that this is an issue that should be resolved during maternity. But in all honesty, a lot of parents just survive throughout that period. When they come to actually return to work, that's when they think, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So like we just saw with Beverly, when the primary carer is returning to work, that is what we would call a pain point. I won't go through them all because you can read. But another one is the arrival of a newborn baby. So I don't know if any of you have got multiple children, but quite often people think, okay, I can do this with one. And then the second one's coming along, or the third one, and suddenly they just think, I can't do this with more than one. Next one. So that's the impact it's having on your members of staff, or maybe even you if you have been in that boat. In terms of how that actually impacts your business, we've gathered some statistics together. Now these are UK statistics. So the annual cost to the economy, sleep deprivation alone is around £40 billion. And that works out at about £1,400 per employee. And that's through things like phoning in for days sick, drops in productivity, that kind of thing. We lose around 200,000 working days a year to sleep deprivation. We see a massive drop in productivity, and we see a big increase in errors and incidents and accidents at work. So, just to give you some ideas of how serious those can be, all of these events are linked in some way to sleep deprivation. Now that is not to say it is the only cause, but reports have been written about each of these sort of catastrophes where there is an element of human error that has been attributed to sleep deprivation in one way or the other. And that might seem really extreme here today, because I'm guessing most of you don't own an oil rig or a space shuttle, unless you've got Jeff Bezos hiding in the room. But putting it into sort of our terms, anyone who is sleep deprived is going to have a drop in their ability to do things like mathematics, administrative skills, grammatical errors. When we look at people that either drive, operate machinery, fly planes, that kind of thing, there's about a 33% chance that if they're sleep deprived, they are going to have an accident. And that could be fatal, it might not be, but the risk is there. Sleep deprivation is actually worse than drink driving in many cases. Obviously, if you've drunk 3 bottles of vodka, not not so, but being just over the limit is actually less of a risk than being sleep deprived. It has a significant anyone that does shift work, so whether that be in sort of engineering or we do a lot of work with emergency service workers, anyone that already is on sort of altered sleep hours, and then you throw a child into the mix, they're really, really vulnerable. So what do? So we come into businesses and we give two types of presentation. One is aimed at managers and people that look after staff, and that's sort of an expanded version of what I've touched on today in terms of, you know, what you need to look out for, how it's going to impact people in work, and what you can do to support them. And then we also do presentations for parent employees as well to help them understand how to actually deal with these things. We do one-to-one tailored sleep plans with families, we do pre- and postnatal workshops, and we have a membership service so that people on an ongoing basis, when their children go through different changes, know how to deal with it. I won't read all of these out, but fundamentally one of the things that we want to do is to try and help people return to work and stay in work, and if they are not sleeping, there is a big risk that that is not going to happen. You might have lost staff who, with the best intentions, said that they're going to return from maternity leave, and then it just so happens that they can't and they don't. You can offer our services as part of your enhanced maternity package, you do it as flexible benefits, you can buy it as gifts, or as part of your wellbeing at work programme. They're just the references. And that's our details. There's also a few business cards down here if anyone needs them. I think I've got about 1 minute left.
Good idea, young man. Well done. The only problem is, now I've got a microphone, I better start. I'm not.
Yep.
Right, so hello, good morning, and welcome.
Hello.
Namaste. So, I can't do the clicker and the mic, and swap my hands because I'm a bit. So, Santosh wanted me to share some ideas about the small business entrepreneur journey. It doesn't matter about me, but for the last 20 years I've been helping businesses grow, and I see a number of, shall we say, touch points that could be easing the pain. So I'm going to just run through them quickly, but my passion is to genuinely help. And what I mean by that is I'm here until my plane leaves at 9 a.m. So if you need or would like anything in the meantime, grab me and have a brew and I'll help. It's a passion to help. Now, if we can drive this. Yeah, there you go. So the first thing, absolutely first thing, why are you doing your business? So I'll give you a really clear example, and I'm not in any way picking, but you're now in your own new business because you were doing that same business before being encouraged to go on your own. And a lot of small businesses start out that way. So they have been an accountant, they moved on, and they carried on being an accountant. And then I say to them, one day when they're having a moan over a cup of coffee, and they say, oh, God, work. And I'm like, don't you enjoy your work? Oh, no. And I say, so what would you do if you did not have to worry about money? Blank canvas, what would you do? Oh, God, if I didn't have to worry about money, I'd be painting, I'd be motorcycling, I'd do tours, I'd do whatever. So my humble, simple suggestion is follow your heart. If you don't love being an accountant, don't be an accountant. Or whatever job. See, I believe personally that this life that we're in right now, that we're conscious of, is short. Even if you live to be 90 or 100, it's short. And I believe passionately that even one day doing what you don't want to do is a waste of a day. And I know what gets in the way, the fear. Oh, well, how can I pay the rent? How can I pay the mortgage? How can I pay my bills? Fear blocks, but courage to step in rewards. So my absolute loving urge is do what you love, question why you're doing what you're doing. Second thought, really simple, I know. I'm not trying to invent anything here, but if you know why you're doing it, you really also need to know who you're doing it for, or to, or who is your ideal audience. And I'm not going to pick on anybody, but I have been 20 years as a coach and a sales leader, and I've asked thousands of companies, who's your customer? And usually it's slightly better than anyone with a pulse, but only slightly better. Who do you want to sell to? Well, anybody really. Come on. And I know it's hard. And here's another reason why it's hard. Because you think you can do multiple skills. So you say to yourself, well, that person could buy that or that or that, and I can help them in several ways. So you broaden your service range out in the attempt to broaden your attraction range. And all you do is confuse. Respectfully, lovingly, you confuse. You need, no, that's the wrong language. I encourage you to niche, to tighten. All I can say is if you don't really know who's going to buy, you'll waste an awful lot of time and money trying to attract people who are never going to buy. And I always coach you to sit for hours and find just one very narrow thread, rather than try to design fancy graphics to appeal to anybody. I know it's simple stuff, but it's really, really powerful. If you know why you're doing it and you know who you're doing it to, then the next thing, I can get this, is what, but this isn't what you do. Can you see what I've written? It's not what do you do. That's not the key thing here. It's what do they want. And here's a surprise for you. Most businesses are so arrogant about what they deliver that they assume that I want what they've got because they think it's good. And I could give you thousands of examples, but classic examples might be somebody selling, I don't know, a utility provision, and they say, but we're cheaper. And I'm like, so? That's not what I want. There are thousands of examples in any industry. But businesses are arrogant and they say, we've got this and it's great, so you should want it. And all of their language is about them. And I'm saying, what do they want? The lady that's took Rebekah, sleep. Your customers are probably two sides. One, the client in the corporate world. What do they want? Productivity. Different message. Your client on the private side, what do they want? Relief. A very, very different message. And if your business has a corporate and a personal, a domestic or a commercial, then they're different messages. And businesses everywhere will have one message, because the message is, hey, look what we do. It's just never going to work. And I mention this, but it's critical. I grew up in the old days when there was a TV program called Mind Your Language. Now, very few people in this room will remember that, but it was classic because it showed in a sort of adult education classroom environment the differences in our language. Here's the thing though, you assume if you're speaking English, everybody speaks the same language. What I will guarantee 100% is your interpretation of that word means a different thing to you. And it's the meaning of the word, not the word, that has relevance. And yeah, I can be a bit anal, and yes, I do study people and study language, but the root, there's so much in language. The key thing is, if someone in your audience says, what's your business? Cyber security, right. Be careful, Ben. So, is everybody worried about cyber security? I'm going to beg to differ.
Yeah.
He said yes. But you see, if I took everybody and said, are you worried about any of these things? They may not worry about, quote, cyber security, but they may worry about, quote, being hacked. And you are sticking to your language, and I'm not picking on you, humbly, I'm not. You shouldn't sit on the front row, should you, really? But your language and their language, you interpret. Because we all do, by the way, and no disrespect to, what's your name? Joseph. Thank you. We all interpret. But the customer's language was being hacked, not cybersecurity. And the point is absolutely fundamental. Please go back and get all your marketing literature. Look at everything you ever write and say. Because I guarantee 90% of the time, you're talking your language, not mine. Because you didn't actually go and find out who your real customer was. Because you thought it could be almost anybody. I love you. I want you to succeed. Have a look at your language. I word, yeah. So here's the thing. Have you ever heard of the law of attraction?
Every day.
Everybody has.
Every day. Yeah.
And yet we're not really conscious of it. And what we spend our day doing, again, I'm not saying that it's everybody every time, but you push. You push. You spend time and effort promoting out. You deliberately push marketing, email, text, social media, and I get all of that. And I'm not saying don't do it, but you're pushing often a message instead of perhaps inviting conversation and dialogue. And I believe this. I don't know what business you're in, but I will pretty much say you have competitors. Anybody in the world that doesn't have a competitor? Good. And I say good because here's the thing. If ever you thought you wanted to be the first into a market, slap yourself and remember this. If you're the first and only one in a market, there isn't a market. No one's buying it. So you have to welcome competitors. That's a good spin, isn't it? You have to have a positive view. Thank goodness there's competitors, because it's broadening the market. However, why are you different? The only thing you've ever got is you. If you think you have an edge on a product or a service, somebody will compete and copy it if it's any good. If you think you've got an edge on price, then you're on the race to the grave. The only edge we ever have in business is the energy and the human factor. And that is what you have to work at. And if I never see you again, and I don't know any of your businesses, please put you front and centre in your business. Put your energy, your passion, your why, when you've discovered it, front and centre in your business. And that's why I started with the why, as many years ago Simon Sinek said. If you've got your why clear and your passion is from your heart, then that bit's a lot easier. So work at attracting people because of who you are, rather than pushing messages because of what you do. That's a picture I took earlier. You don't believe it. That was just last month on the beach. However, the point is, again, I was sharing a conversation with somebody else yesterday. Balance. Everybody knows what it is. And in work, we don't do it. Oh, yes, I do. I'm just busy at the moment. Okay. So here's a little thought, and again, take this with you if you wish. In your head right now, just answer this question. What would you say is of the most value to you in your life? I don't need to shout out the answer. In your head right now, what or who or where or anything, what is the most value to you in your life right now? Got it clearly? Maybe 1, 2, 3 things, yeah? Now show me your calendar, your diary, and show me where the time is in your calendar for those things. Go on, show me your calendar. It ain't there, is it? Because what we value are probably things like home, family, health, and in our calendar, we're stuck with the work. And then we wonder why we're not as productive at work, and we wonder why we're not as happy when we're not at work, because we're out of balance. There isn't a right or a wrong, there just is. But I would love you enough to say, go and have a look at your calendar and adjust your balance. It may be that you are doing a lot of the right things to a lot of the right people, but possibly not leveraging your time, and so we maybe, or arguably should, leverage our time so you can find time for what matters by systemizing the tasks. There are some very, very good people in the room, some good systems, but if you haven't got a system, because maybe it's a new startup business, that's okay. However, you will get to the point when your new startup business starts to be very, very busy, which is good. But when it starts to get very, very busy, it'll demand more and more of you, which is not good. And so the irony is that the best time to put a big system together is when you're not a big business. Start with a system. And this day and age is so easy for that, but systemize. Leverage your time, automate wherever possible. And by the way, yes, do I agree with automation of some social media posts? Automate the posting, but not the writing, not the creation. Put your energy and passion into creation, but automate the posting. Put your individual, unique style of language into the writing, but automate the sending. Use the systems to leverage your time. I don't want you to burn out. But it's dead simple. Spend an hour, speak to people who know what they're doing, and don't burn out. I'm going to keep coming back to this. Every time we ever meet, like at the beginning, it's a human planet. At the moment, although there are some nutters that want to change that, it's a human planet at the moment. And that is what makes the world spin. It's who you know. And it's what they think about you, of course. Human connection's where it comes in. Anybody in the room do business with someone they don't like? No. Paul was talking about it earlier, and very valid. Anybody do business in the room with someone they don't trust? No. But how do I know you? And how can I learn to trust you? You're not showing me you. You're showing me pictures. Fancy marketing language. You're telling me blurb. You're talking about the it. You're no different from anyone else. How can I know and trust if you're not showing me you? You wouldn't buy off someone you didn't know. So why are you expecting people to buy off you when they're not knowing you? Because we've got sucked into this, I'm going to use a gentle phrase called bollocks, of the way things should be done instead of doing what's in your heart. The natural way. Be you. Human connection. But leverage your time with tasks in systems. It is all about the numbers, as I keep getting told, because I'm in sales. That's where we get paid. That's where you have to measure your performance. But that's the only thing we are measuring. It's not one of them days. It's measure your performance because you can improve it. Systems do that. Again, I will say to you, okay, what's your average sale value? Well, some of them are very small and some of them are very big, so it's very difficult to say. I know that. I asked you, what is your average sales value? Well, like I say, some of them are only, £200, and some of them are 20,000, so it's very difficult to say. Do you know what the word average actually means? What you do is you take them all, and you add up the value, and you divide by the total, and it gives you an average. So, what is your average sales value? That's a really simple question. And there isn't a business anywhere that shouldn't be able to answer that. And just one of the things we want to measure and manage up might be that. I don't know. Is it interesting? But when you get all that together, rinse and repeat like man. You know what the thing is? The amazing thing about business is it's not difficult until we make it difficult. We get on and we've got all these other thoughts and other people's ideas and other stuff. And instead of just going, do you know what? This is what I feel like. This is what I am. This is what I love. Let me help you. Let me serve you. We get all swept away with stuff. And if you put 5 or 6 basics together, you've got it nailed. Just duplicate. And every time I work with Santosh, he says, you can't speak forever. And he knows I can, so I could probably talk for 2 days and share other ideas. It'll come up in a minute and say, get off, Ben. But business is really quite simple if we do it the way, arguably, it's more natural. But once you've got a formula, you can just rinse and repeat. But it will take you a while to tweak your language. It might take you a while to really drill down who you want to sell to, which your ideal customer. It might take you several weeks to take that language tweak onto your broadcast media. And it might take you several weeks to put systems together so you can automate some of your tasks. But once you've done that, if you spent the next 6 months really working on your business, not in your business trying to get it to grow, your business will be transformational and so would your life. And we get stuck into the I'm too busy to do it. And guess what? You're always going to be too busy because it isn't built right. There's no such word as failure. Interesting little quirky bit about Ben. So I've told you a minute ago I'm all into language, right? Every single word has a meaning. And that meaning is in my head. So to my wife, the word spider is ah! To me, it's just a word. But every word has a different meaning because when you learn that word, you're told this is a crayon and this is what we do with a crayon. And so there are language patterns that are actually embedded in your psyche. I won't tell you about that now, but what I will tell you is that when I was raising my little daughter, I was a single parent for 10 years, me and my little girl, living in Spain. And I've always been a very positive guy, so I bred my daughter to be a very positive girl. And there are some things you just, it's not, you can't use some words. So, one day I'm in the car with my friend Brian, and Brian's talking away, and he used the F word. And my Charlotte in the back says, Daddy, 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 he used the F word. And Brian's going, what? Did I swear? Because sometimes you can swear and you didn't know you were saying it. And Brian's going, did I swear this word? I said, no. And Charlotte's going, but Daddy, you used the F word. And Brian's going, help. So I said, well, Brian, what you said is you talked about it failing. And I've taught my daughter that there isn't a such word as failing, that's a swear word. Because we just find a way that wasn't the best way to do it. We didn't fail. And Charlotte to this day remembers things like that. And thank heaven, because she's now a very positive, very beautiful lady. But again, it's our language. But the principle is, you don't fail. And again, I'll share another thought that was shared with me many years ago when I first started speaking. If you fall over, fall flat on your face, and then get up, guess what? You've already moved forward. You try it. Try it. I'm not going to ask you to try it now, but if you fall over forward now and lie on the floor, and then naturally just lift yourself up, you'll be about 4 foot further. So even when you fall down, you go forward. Just little anchors, just to help you be positive. But the key to everything is you. People buy off you. They might buy the product because they need it, but I've got a choice of product providers. They might buy the service because they need it, and they don't have a lot of choice, but they're buying it still because of you. Because if they trust you, they're buying it. People only respond to people. You can spend all the world money to do your marketing, and what you're trying to do, I hope, is get a response. But then it's up to you to convert, and that's where I step in with sales. Getting a response is good, but getting conversion is money. And I know that you love what you're doing and you want to do it for nothing. I know a lot of small business owners are doing what they do for nothing, what they want. The point is, it's you, front and centre. It's you that I ring. It's you that I ask, how does it work? I ask, what's in it for me? I ask, where can it go wrong? I say, help me, because I'm nervous. It's you that gives me the confidence to part with my money. It is you. Where are you? Where's your energy? Where's your individuality? Where's your passion? Where's you? Again, I talk a lot about language, and I'll share one thought before he definitely kicks me off. How you are, some people are deemed to be professional. And the professional people, do you know where that phrase came from in our English language? I'll tell you. In them days of many years ago, when there was much more visible class differentiation or distinction, there was the paupers like me everywhere in the town, and up across the town there was townhouses. You know, the big, fabulous townhouses with carriages outside and butlers. And that was where the professionals lived. And we coined a phrase in the English vocabulary of being professional, like the professionals, but it was aspirational towards the townhouses, the carriages and the wealth. It was not descriptive of character or descriptive of attraction or ever used in a world of sales. So I see a lot of people that are trying to carry themselves professionally. Obviously I do. But professionally, sometimes it's a bit rigid. It's like, well, I can't say anything about accountants because we've got one in the room, so I'm going to be very careful. But no disrespect to any profession, because I know some great lawyers, I know some great accountants, and I know some great doctors, but they're not salespeople. They don't have to attract. You go to them cap in hand asking. And so what we've got to watch is that our behaviour, our language, and our way we carry ourselves in our world has got to attract and sell. So just be careful with the professional image, because what's more important for attraction and selling is the personal image. Don't be completely unprofessional, but be personal at all times. Because that, my friend, is the key to your business. Last, I think, is that you've got to believe. And I think this has been tested in the last couple of years. He's been in business for several years and seen a dip. And in the dip, think, oh, why should I carry on? And you have to have the belief. But this goes full circle, because if you started with the why, and you know why you're doing it because you love. So I'll only use me as an example because I don't mind being shot at. But I love doing what I do because I love you. And I stand and talk about love because I'm a fan of this wonderful human creation, and that's all there is. I do it every day. And I often do it, and I help loads of people pro bono because it's not about money. Because it's easy when it's in you. It's not a job. But keeping the faith when it's not in you is very hard. So again, we go back to that beginning of why we're doing it. And I'll leave you with a couple of quotes because I've got quotes. When I lived in Tenerife with Charlotte, and we had just about two of us, and I had positive little sticky notes all around my flat. So I love these things because I put them everywhere as a daily mental reminder. But if the top one, we can't change the winnings, but we can adjust the sails, relevant to the current times, it may not be the same world now as it was 4 years ago. So we can get lost in the old way and complain, or we can adjust. That was Dolly Parton, I believe, said that. But the bottom one is a Benism. Because the one thing, and I'll leave you completely to think about this, I have met millions of people in thousands of audiences, and they come into business with the mindset of being formerly an employee. And why is that important? Because when you come at it from an employee, a labour mindset, you cost everything in a cost hour, cost of product, etc. Your thinking about money is radically different because you were conditioned to take away. You were conditioned, this is what your salary is. You were conditioned, this is what you're worth. You have been taught, this is what it costs. You are conditioned negatively about money. Nobody's fault, but recognise it and shift it. Because when you think like a leader, you don't question all the finer detail of the money. You just know the bigger picture is you're going to get it done. And the thinking is what changes a small business into a big business. So with love, go away, please. Stay in touch, please. But think like a leader, not a labourer. Have a good one. Bye.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the Business Growth Expo, and I'm delighted to be here. First time in the Isle of Man, and yes, great new faces here, and thank you for everyone to come and to join us this morning. I want to share you my story. That how I got into this industry, how I got into networking. My background was fashion. Always loved the fashion industry. I used to work for Hugo Boss and sold suits. And then one day I went to a business show in London with over 500 people. And I was one of those people in the audience, like you are today, looking at three keynote speakers. One that I didn't even know, I never even heard of. One was a guy called Kevin Green. He's one of the UK's biggest property landlords that owns over 1,000 properties. The other guy that I saw was a guy called Andy Harrington, who used to work with Tony Robbins. He's a professional keynote speaker. And the third person that I saw was a lady called Sharon Lecter. Just raise your hands, anyone in the audience today have read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Well, you will know the story about Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad was written by Sharon Lecter and Robert Kiyosaki about their two dads, and the story tells what Rich Dad Poor Dad. This lady here, she, I saw her on stage, and you know, she inspired me that the power of association, the power of your network, the people that you know, the people that can make a difference to your life through business. And Sharon was one of those people that I saw in the audience. I thought, wow, I was absolutely blown away. And I drove all the way from Cardiff to London to see her. There was about 500 people in the audience. And I came back in the car like, wow, what I've been sort of like doing for the last 10 years, I didn't know I was doing it. And I thought, wow, imagine if I went into the business doing this full time. And at the time, my wife at the time had a networking company, but it was more of a lifestyle business. It was like 30 odd members once a month. And I said to her, well, listen, this lady here has inspired me. And those who don't know who she is, please read her. She's an advisory to President Bush and President Obama. She's an 8 times best-selling author. And there's a photo there of me with her at her house. And about a year later, I had an opportunity to be mentored by her. And at the time, she was looking for a couple of people to mentor the UK. Unfortunately, her son had died previously. He killed himself in her house, and she went very, very quiet, and she was very sort of depressed she went. And she decided, I want to get back out there and do what I love doing. And then I had an opportunity to say, I want to be mentored, and there was only one condition: the price. The price was a lot of money, and a lot of people said to me, "Oh, is it worth it or not?" In the end, I decided I'm taking a gamble. I'm going to learn from the best out there. Someone who sits on the advisory boards of the American government must be someone special. And she was the one that inspired me to be mentored, and I'll be coached by her for 3 years. What she taught me is the power of association and the power who to meet. And anyone in the world you can meet and be connected to. And at the time then, I got mentored by Sharon, me and my wife did. There was an 8-hour time difference. She lived in Scottsdale, Arizona. She used to mentor us at midnight. So you do a day's work and you have to wait till like midnight to have your hours coaching. To 1 o'clock I was shattered. But what she taught me was invaluable to be taught about the power of networking. What you see here is some of the people that I've met, and they come to my events. I've hosted over 500 events in the last 10 years. I've had some of the biggest names on stage. I've had events where we hosted one of the biggest events in the UK, where a few of you in this room were at that event. We did in Cardiff with Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone. We got two of the biggest powerful players in the industry, you know, Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone. Their fees for that event were £250,000. So before you actually open an event like this, I'm like £500,000 down if I make a penny. But I raise that money through sponsorships and other brands as well. So some of these guys here that I've worked with, and there's Les Brown and Dr. John DiMartini. Some of these guys you may know or you don't know, but what I would say is the guy on the right there, Dr. John DiMartini, one of the most intelligent guys I've ever met in my life. Les Brown, if you heard of the great speakers like the Tony Robbins, the Les Browns, the Brian Tracy's, Dr. DiMartini, these are the top 10 speakers in the world. If you go to their concerts, Les Brown used to have like 80,000 people. Look at archives, look at the YouTubes there. These guys are legends. I had the great honour of working with all these guys. And I'll share with you how I met these guys and how I met up with Richard Branson and take clients to his house. And I'm the only person in the UK who can take people to his house at an event that we host every year with over 250 people. And I'll tell you how I got to do that as well. So, my top 10 tips to be a global networker and to meet needs of people. Okay. People say business cards are a dying breed. Absolutely rubbish. Yeah? Opportunities are everywhere. Opportunities are every single day. A business card can change your life. No doubt about it. Business cards have changed now. They've gone to electronic cards now, where you just have one card, tap your phone, put your details in, and bang. But the most important thing is having that information on you, because you never know where you're going to meet someone. Like today, how many people here today will come without a business card? You're going to remember their names on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's impossible. So my golden rule is always carry a business card. It's so important. We have a fantastic brand here. One of my clients, one of my members, is One Card. One Cards are exhibiting just down there. I've got a One Card card. You tap the phone, put the details on there, bang, done. You never have to buy another business card again ever. Perfect. So go see those guys there. Well worth the investment of having as well. So I always say, make sure if you're out somewhere, you get an opportunity, you go somewhere, even if I saw someone in the supermarket, there's your card, give me a call. Or if you tap your phone, something like that. Business cards are an absolute must. And I meet so many people in the last 2 or 3 years who don't carry business cards. And you try and remember my name or their name when you've been out somewhere meeting 10 people. Absolutely impossible. Always remember it's about the quality, not the quantity, when meeting people at networking events. I've met 2 people already today who are fantastic connections I've already met. Now, what's the average of people you would meet to say it's been a great day? 5, 10? It's irrelevant. You can meet 100 people today and build 100 relationships, but it takes time to do all that. Yeah? You're going to build the trust first. You're going to build the reputation. You're going to get to know them, like, and trust. That's one of the first things I would say about meeting people, right? Gain that trust first. But also, who's associated to you that people know who they are? So that's another thing I would say as well. So if you work with people that you work with as well, and you introduce them in your network, you got the credibility factor as well. So if you meet 3 people today or 5 people, and you've got strong bonds with those guys, that's a good result. Don't worry about it. I've done events with 7,000 people. You're going to meet 100 people max if you've got a team of people. It's impossible to meet all those people. And it's a bit of luck. I always believe it's like sliding doors. You either walk that way or you go that way. Which one should I go? That way or that way? You might meet that person. So it's all about, I'm a big believer, of meeting people, law of attraction. You're meant to meet people. Your face remembers someone. Oh, I remember you. I remember your name. I never forgot your name. It's meeting those sort of people as well. Sorry about the thumbs up, but I've been clicking normally. So anyway, never go into your sales pitch. When you meet people, remember one thing. This is what I got taught. It's always about other people, not you. Them first, you later. Find out. So what do you guys do? What's your interests? How can we help you guys? Yeah. Never go, well, I'm this. We do this. We got 10 million customers. We turn over 100 million pounds. Blah 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 blah. And they go, right, okay. So what do you do? Well, thanks for that. It's always about them. So always put the emphasis of the other people more than you. That's what you do. This is what we do. Yeah. But it's always about them. So always say, never go into a sales pitch and just tell people it's all about them, not you as well. Business cards, yeah? Business cards, one thing I learned about shows, meeting, a lot of people. How do I work out who said, oh God, I'm interested in your products. I want to, I definitely want to do business with you. I want to come to the event. I can deal with those products. I want it there. Grade your business cards. I put A, B, C. A is like a hot lead. B, I'm interested in your products. C, do you know what? Great product. Put me in a database. Send me some stuff. Maybe we do business 6 months or a year's time. You never know when you're going to do business. There's no time frame on it. You can do it straight away. I've had clients that take me 3 years to do business with them. 3 years. It's all about timing. So always grade your business cards on your hot leads when you get home. Spread them all out. A, B, C. This is my important pile. They're the red hot leads. I want to do business with you, or you can help my business, or we want to do something together. So always grade your business cards to work out the people you meet today as well. It's a true saying. Zig Ziglar said this saying, yeah? The more people that help, the more people you help, the more you get back in life. It's so true. I had the great honour of meeting Tom Ziglar. He's the CEO of the Zig Ziglar. Hands up, do you know anyone in this audience who knows who Zig Ziglar is? Brilliant. One of the greatest speakers of all time. Legend, like Les Brown. And Tom Ziglar runs the organisation now, and I've had him many times on my podcasts and interviews online. Great legend guy as well. And he states one of the most famous sayings of all time, yeah? Help people first, people come later. It's not about what you buy from me today, or join my network, or what I can do. It's about how I can help you. Because if I help you get business, what are you going to do? You're going to tell your friends, you're going to tell your family, you're going to tell other people. So always help more people, and you will get the rewards back. I always say you meet two types of people in life. The givers and the takers. Yeah? The givers are the ones who want to help people, and the takers go, what's in it for me then? Yeah? Classic example. I'll share with you a story at the end. How I thought of someone, what do I get? But it turned out to be, I'll do it for free. So don't always judge a book by its cover. So I'll tell that at the end of it as well. It's good to talk to strangers, the smart networking events. I'll give an example. You never know who, I don't know any of you here at all. I know Santosh. Yeah? I don't know anyone, I know John. Right? But I don't know anyone, yeah? But if I sat on my stand looking miserable, and I'm looking, oh God, what am I doing here, yeah? Who's going to talk to me? Yeah? No one. Always have a smile on your face, be approachable, say hi to everyone. Because you never know who you're going to smile to and say hello to as well, yeah? So always have a smile networking events wherever you go. Always be positive, have passion, yeah? And one thing I always say, always be remembered. You leave this show today, yeah? You go home tonight, you say to your partner, what was it like? Yeah, it was good. What was the speakers like? What was the exhibitors like? Oh yeah, there was this one guy, Jesus, I remember him. Be rememberable and stand out, yeah? You leave this show today. So that in your head, follow those guys on LinkedIn, follow those guys on Facebook. Oh yeah, he's got a funny surname, isn't he? That's it. Remember him, yeah? You'll never forget him. You'll never forget him or her, but be rememberable as well. It's good to talk to strangers. Never judge a book by its cover. Oh my God. How many people I've seen come to my events and said, do you know what? There's no one in here I can do business with. Nah, this doesn't look like the right people. I'm going to go now. You'd be surprised. I've had people come to my events and walk the other way. They haven't got a clue who they are. Yeah? You never know who he knows, or who she knows, or who they're connected to. Yeah? So never judge a book by its cover. The way they dress, they could be the smartest man in the room, or they could be the scruffiest person in the room. Never judge a book by its cover. You never know who they know. So that's one of my golden tips there. Always be the one that is listening to people in groups. Yeah? How very true. Some of the greatest salespeople that I've worked with, yeah, one of the number one tips they said, why are you so good at what you do, is that they listen. Top salespeople don't either shut up or they just listen. They listen to what's going on. They captured it all, and then they say what they want to say. But listening skills is always about other people. Listen to people how they talk. Listen to people what they're saying. Listen to what key things they're saying, so that makes an advantage for you. Is how can you help them? That's what it's about. So listening is one of the top tips in networking. When you hear people talking, listen, assume what they're going to do or how you can help them, and it's about retract to those guys. How can I help you guys go forward? This is one of the biggest tips in networking. Yeah, setting up referral partnerships with people, collaborations. Yeah, and let me give you an example. People say, I got a solicitor's company, and I just met somebody, he's a solicitor, or he's a competitor to me. Yeah, or someone does similar industry sectors. Yeah, it's good to collaborate. Yeah, it's good to set up referral partnerships. You know, one of the biggest industries of referrals, estate agents and accountants. Yeah, they're massive. They've always got partners. They get paid on that as well. Yeah, so create partnerships. We create referral partners because we give an example. The more referral partners you got, is the more money and income you got. If you got 10 people out there promoting your business, you got 10 salespeople promoting you. So create that, income streams. Not just thinking, well, it's all about me. I talk about my business. That's it. Create good brand association, create loyalty, and incentivize people with referrals. You know, someone joins my network and they spend a certain amount, we pay up to £1,000 just by saying, oh, he's looking to join our network, he's looking to get out there, here's Johnny, nice to meet you, come to my events, I want to join, there you go, there's something I introduced you for, then I'm going to give you a benefit and a return. It's so important, referrals are absolutely massive. For me, this is the #1 golden tip in networking. It's called the fortune of follow-up. 85% of people here today will fail to follow up. 85%. I'll ring you tomorrow, mate. We'll make an appointment next week, yeah? I'll put you in my diary and we'll catch up, yeah? 85% of people do not do it. The fortune is in the follow-up. If you follow up with people, you look professional. If you don't follow up with people, are you going to do business with that person? They're not going to touch you with a barge pole, yeah? The fortune and the professionalism as well. Follow these guys on LinkedIn, follow on Facebook, follow on social media. Great to meet you, right? How can we help each other? Let's get on a Zoom call. I got clients, who are you looking to meet? How can I help your business in my network? Okay, I got clients here, there, they may be interested in what you guys do. Let me introduce those person. Have the Zoom calls, follow those relationships, create those partnerships with those people, because that will get you business. That to me is the #1 tip in people fail in networking is the follow-up. And I can't, mention this enough. So if you're one of those people who go, well, you know what, I got all my business cards, I get home tonight, I put them on the side of my cabinets, and I'll do it later. A week goes by, guess what, they're still there. 2 weeks go by, Paul, I'm going to say to me, Paul, do you think I should follow up like 3 weeks later? Sure you could. Just say, you've been busy, you've been doing certain things, great to meet you, let's go on a Zoom call, how can we follow up with you guys, and how can we build a relationship? Business is all about one thing, about building trust, it's about relationships, and how can I help you in your business? That's what it's about. Okay. This is, I'm Global Director for the Hungarian Business Alliance. We host 10 events a year. We have an exclusive event next week in London. It's at that fantastic building in London there, 55 Broadway. We've hired the whole rooftop. Put your hands up if you like champagne, canapes, beers, wine, beautiful food. Yeah, I like that. So we do 10 events a year. We have an event next week, next Tuesday. Starts at 6 o'clock. You're most welcome to all come. I'm in a generous mood today. Yeah, you can all come for the members price. Okay, it's £22 plus VAT on the event price. Okay, instead of paying £34, come for £22. We'll have a fantastic time. We have a fantastic speaker. I'm a big football fan. I'm a big Liverpool fan and Cardiff City fan, as you probably know. This guy here, Stephen Corker, used to play for Cardiff City, used to play for Liverpool, got an England cap. He's talking about mental health. Just interviewed Gav Southgate last week. He's making big waves in the football world and about mental health in the workplace. He's going to be talking about that. We have a guy there called Dalrymple, the CEO of Creation. Creation do amazing websites. He's a branding expert. He works with like multi-million-pound companies. He's going to talk about branding. Steve's going to be talking about mental health in the workplace, and you'll see the CEO there is my business partner, Susanna. She's the former global vice president for Harley Davidson, and I've also got myself there. So if you want to come to the event, come and see me. I'll give you my cards. I'll send you the link. I'd love to see you there. Be about 80 to 100 companies there. But if you want to grow your network and you want to meet people from Europe and from Hungary, then a great opportunity to network as well. We have a business trip in October, which is a 2-day event. It's going on the 4th and 5th of October. There's 150 companies going. We've got 100 companies from Hungary that want to connect to people in the UK. And the first day, we're taking all our clients to the top champagne manufacturing company to see how all the champagne's made and a little bit of champagne tasting as well. And then we got a beautiful dinner the night. And then the second day, we've got a business conference, 150 companies there from all sorts of companies, SMEs, corporates, entrepreneurs, massive global brands there. And they want to meet people in the UK to do business. And in the night, we got sponsors dinner. And then we go home. So anyone interested in come to that, let me know, and I'll send you the information when tickets go live this week. That's pretty much my tips. I've been pretty much quick today, tell you what to go in. But if you want to find any more, if I can help you at all, I'd love to connect with everyone here. I'm on stand number 12, just down there. And please, guys, anyone any questions, I'm here to serve you guys. So thank you. Me and Peter work on 40 companies, and he's the former COO of Virgin Media at 3.6 billion, 12,000 employees. He used to be one of my clients, and he nagged me for about a year, come and help this network. I'm too busy. So I said, right, okay, because he's the chairman, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll come in and I'll help you grow the network. My background is run a company called Introbiz. A lot of people know who they are. But if you go to YouTube and you watch the Introbiz Expo in 2018, where I brought Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone to the UK, and some of the biggest names on the planet. John was there, Santosh was there. There were 7,000 people. It was one of the biggest events in the UK ever seen. You can watch that video there. We had all the apprentice winners there. We had all the Dragons Den that I worked with. It's one of the biggest shows I've done for the last 10 years. So that was one of my proudest moments. The following year, we had Richard planned to come to the UK to speak at our events, and guess what happened? COVID. Couldn't take the risk, no chance. So we didn't do that. So that's how I got involved with the Hungarian community. And so I'm passionate about increasing international trade. The trade between the two countries is about 7 billion. They've got about 7,000 companies, Marks & Spencer's, Tesco's, all the big brands. And what we do then is we encourage people to do trade in Hungary and vice versa. In fact, so there's more people from Hungary coming here than there's us going there. We had 50 companies last month, where Santosh spoke on stage. We signed about 20 companies. We've got 100 in November coming to meet the UK. I had them all in a big boardroom at the Chamber of Commerce in London last month. And I sat them all down. I said, put your hands up. How many people here have got connections in the UK? 2 put their hands up. None of them got nothing. So they want to meet people to do business. And some of these companies do 100 million turnover.
Where they do not have that same kind of resources. They don't, the people like us, we don't have that kind of resources available to us, which companies like Lloyds, TSBs, Virgin Media, they have got. Now when we are going for it, when we are talking about the big companies like this, they have got board of directors who comes out on the quarterly leadership meeting every quarter, maybe flying from private jets, different parts of the world, coming to Virgin Island and having their quarterly meetings. They are coming to annual general meetings, and they have got this, whole crew of 20-30,000 people, CEOs, who must be earning in millions. It means even if you consider 1 million, the 20-30 key people over there is 20 million pound of revenue which is needed. How many people like us, who are the startup businesses or young businesses, have got 20 million pound to put on the brains, which is behind driving any business? And as Peter said, to take a business from zero to make it, 6 billion pound or 8 billion pound company, and then being a part of every household, which is Virgin Media. That's what the strength Peter have got. But he is on a journey to help people, and I am part of that, and I am very fortunate enough to be part of that. The only thing is, he have got various shepherds like me, okay? I am into this £1 million journey at the moment. I want to travel to the £1 billion journey. But hey, you know what? When I was sitting in seminars like that, I was not interested what Peter is doing or what anybody else is doing over there. I was interested into me. And same as it is all about you guys. It is never about me. So if I say I want to do this, doesn't matter. Who cares about it? What we care is, what can I do for you? That's what it cares. And one thing which I can do at this stage over here is bring some of the golden nuggets which I have brought from my own experience, just to say a little bit about my journey. I started my journey in 2007 as my first business. And who have seen a kid, 1-year kid, trying to stand up and walk? Almost all of us. Who has not seen? Let's see, put hands. No hands up. It means everybody has seen. Let's see who has seen a young kid trying or have tried by themselves, going up, trying, 1-year-old, any kid? No, there is no energy over here. Okay, I think I should go. Okay, so there is some smile over here. That's fine. Who has seen a 1-year kid who is trying to stand up and falls down? All of us, right? Yeah, that's great. Now, does he give up over there? Does he give up? No. What do we do as a parent, uncle, brother, sisters? What does we do? We encourage them, right? We encourage them, all of them, to do it. Come on, do it. And we never stop that encouragement unless until it becomes second nature to them, start running after. Yeah, which will be 2 years. And that's what it matters. It matters about seeing that journey. It matters about finding out what the success is all about. All the golden nuggets which I'm going to talk about, this has come from the people like Peter to me. I have practiced it, preached it. I have got my own experience. Started my journey in 2007. Started with one business, brought one office, 3 people together over there. And what happens in 8 months' time? I was thinking probably in 6 months' time I'll be the first millionaire, the youngest millionaire at that point of time. I can probably, change the whole universe, and create more entrepreneurs with me coming together over there. But you know what? The reality is not that fact, right? Reality is not that true. 3 months down the line, all the 3 people, the highly experienced people, 8 or 10 years of experienced people, committed, and they promised the whole world to me saying, your product will be booming the insurance industry. Nobody can beat us, and we'll bring this to the life. Have you seen that kind of promises from your associates, partners, marketing companies, anything over there? We all have seen that, right? Some nods I can see over here. And this is what happened over there. 3 months down the line, product, not even the POC was ready, not even the concept was ready. 8 months down the line, I have already spent 67,000 pounds. Where is the business? No income coming, and all my savings which is happening, that was gone. How do I get those savings? My God, I have earned hard-earned money. I was earning 80,000 pounds, 60,000 pounds over there in the commissions on the top of it at that point, working on multiple ventures and trying to see that, I can have all these savings and put it into this, aspiring business and take it over there, which can make, 10 millionaires with me over there. Did it happen? No, I closed it down. I had to close it down because I ran out of energy. And then I thought probably I'm better in the job. I'm not good in the business. I should not do the business. Why should I do when I'm losing 67,000 pounds within 8 months' time? It's not about that 67,000 pounds. It could be 600 pounds. It could be 6,000 pounds. But the story remains same. And how do I know it? Because after that failure, I started looking who else is the part of the same thing, and if I can learn something from there to make my life journey better. And that is where it all started. How many businesses we have got in UK at this point of time? Anyone? Yeah? How many?
How many businesses?
Yeah, in UK. UK and British Isles.
I'm not sure about British Isles,
Yeah?
but I'm pretty sure in UK we're talking about millions.
Okay, millions. Anyone have got any specific number? No? Last year, 2022, we had 6.6 million businesses. What is the population of Britain or UK? Around 67, 70 million mark, somewhere hidden unhidden. Let's say 6.66 million. So 66 millions, and we have got 6.6 million businesses. In the history of UK, from year 2000, what has happened? We got a sheer drop where our current population, our current business is around 5.5 million. So see how many businesses collapsed, and we are all part of the same thing. Okay, so it's all about finding out what journey we have got and how can we make it better. Let me go back to our golden nuggets, and for this golden nuggets, let me just give you some some more information over here. The clicker is not working, guys. Can anyone go to the next slide, please? Anyone, can you go to the next slide? Okay, Rubik's Cube. Do you know how many challenges we have got? Do you know anyone what is this? Rubik's Cube so far has got only 8 billion populations, and we are still having people who are just millionaires, whether Elon Musk or whether we talk about people like Mark Zuckerberg or anything like that. So that's one. My idea of bringing Peter over here was so that he can share the same things and same thought with all of us. And that's what I wanted to do. So Peter here not, I said to Peter, you know what is going to happen next time? I'm going to organize a chartered plane, and next time whatever happens, we are not going to go to EasyJet, we are not going to do anything else, but I'll take you to the Isle of Man. So next year when the Expo is happening, that is my promise to you guys. Whatever happens, whether the food poisoning happens, whether he is sick, and he's on the bed, probably I'll bring him over here. That's my promise. But with this one, and following after that, Peter works very closely with Richard Branson. He is training all the millionaires and billionaires people into his group at this point of time. Maybe in next 3 years' time or 5 years' time, I would love to see that Richard Branson is on the stage and sharing some of his insights, some of his thoughts with you guys over here. That's my vision. That's my passion. But how can that happen, and why I want to do that? Ben was over here. He said, what is the why? Why do you want to do that? Because I wanted to change whatever I have achieved, and when I'm saying achieved, I'm not a billionaire at this point of time, but I have created multi-million pound of companies at the moment. I have, become a serial entrepreneur. So far, as my introduction, I started my journey in 2007, collapsed within a year's time, lost 67,000 pounds, and then I thought, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Is this the vehicle which can take me? To cut the story short, I decided to ride multiple bikes. I started to ride multiple vehicles which can take me to the same journey and see whether I can achieve it or not. And in 6 years' time, by 2012, I created 6 businesses. Now, here is you are going to woo me. Okay, out of 6 businesses, 5 businesses failed. And this time, I did not lose 67 pounds, I lost £250,000. Who is ready to do that? Any one of you. I can guarantee one thing. If you are ready to lose £250,000, I can share you, I can show you, along with my people and Peter and other shepherds, how can you lose £250,000 but still make £1 million as a revenue. Who is up for that? Getting ready for £250,000 but still get £1 million. If you don't get £1 million, that £250,000 is on us, as well as the £750,000 other revenue is on us. How does that sound to all of you guys? That's the journey which we started, guys. That's the journey which I started. 7 years of time, going through lots of deep troubles, lots of ups and downs, and probably reaching out to the point where my first company reached a revenue of £250,000 in 2012. I had lots of learning, lots of experience over there, and I don't want to stop it. I wanted to share that entire insight, entire strategy, and it's all about Rubik's cube. Do you know how much time it takes for us to solve the Rubik's cube? This one over here, 3 by 3 Rubik's cube. Can you go to the next slide, please? The 3 by 2 Rubik's cube takes around, for me, people like me, I can solve the Rubik's cube, but one side out of 6, and I can take half an hour. Now there are a few people over here in this room right now who can solve in 14 seconds, all sides. Yeah, I think probably I will run out of time if I demo it, but definitely I'm going to show that sometimes later over here, maybe next networking event or something. And it's all about the process. There is a 3-stage process in solving any Rubik's cube, and that 3-stage process takes around 21 sub-steps of that. And if you follow those process, follow those strategies, you can solve it out within 14 to 16 seconds. Literally, 14 to 16 seconds. Business is not different than that. Business have got different challenges, different industries, they all have got their own mechanism to it. But if we just follow a framework, if we just follow a strategy, if we just follow a proper guidelines, you can change any problems into a solution, and that can bring into the £1 trillion. So why I'm saying £1 trillion, it's not a slip of tongue, it is a £1 trillion journey. Nobody has done it. Find out what you aspire to, where you wanted to be, and then decide your journey. If you really want to be in £1 trillion, do you know when we are getting our first trillionaires? Anyone?
Within 5 years.
Next year.
We should do that.
Yeah, next year. It is somewhere. Yeah, by 2032, the world is getting 12 trillionaires. And you know what happens when we go to the Forbes? Why I mentioned Forbes is, again, I'm a business council I'm a member of business council of Forbes. They go through various different processes, and they chose me, and then I become one of them out of 1200 throughout the globe. So I'm one of the 1200, throughout the globe over there. But £1 trillion by 2032, when Forbes takes out a listing, it says top 50, top 100, top 500. If we want to be in that list, do we have, how many billionaires we have got in the world at the moment? No idea? Okay, 2,640 billionaires guide. If one of you become a next billionaire in next 10 years time, will you go on that Forbes list? Is there any chance of getting in top 50 billionaires list in the Forbes? No, not at all, because they are already taken. But what is left then? Trillionaires, right? There is no one at the moment. By 2032, there are only going to be 12. So in top 50, there is still a lot of space left. So can we not try for something which is already there, possible, rather than thinking which is not there? But journey starts from the small. You can see that here we have got some black Santosh, then we have got red Santosh, then we have got green Santosh. If you see the journey, always when we start anything, there is always a survival stage. We need to survive first before you start thinking to have the sustainability or the profit. Once we sustain ourselves, then the next step is then try to succeed. What is the success? What is the success for all of us guys? Whatever we want to do. For a 1-year kid, it is trying to stand up by himself and walk. That is the success, isn't it? What is the success for a 4-year kid? For a 4-year kid, the success is when he can stop being in his pant. Is it not? It is a success, right? What is the success for a 9-year kid? For a 9-year kid, probably trying to read his his or her books, or maybe trying to prepare for GCSE. What is the success for a 12-year, 20-year, 18-year? We have got getting our first license at the age of 18 is the success for all of us. So that's the success. But this all goes through the principles, and the processes. So that's the trick. That's the overall plan which we are doing with the Peter and the team, and we are trying to bring this this journey where we will be providing lots of tips and helps and techniques and strategies. Can we go on the next one, please? So 3 golden nuggets is nothing but about finding the personal success psychology, the mindset psychology, and business psychology. If you go to the next, please. Next slide, please. Go to next. I'm just going to skip some of the slides, guys, because I don't want to read over there. But there are few golden nuggets which I said. Now, first one which we have got is For any business to be successful, you need 4 foundations. You need the right foundation in place. And the foundations are the 4 pillars. Now, when we are talking about the 4 pillars, the first pillar is always the plan. If you have got the right plan in place, it's 90% chances that you will succeed into business. So what brings the next 10%? Out of that, if you've got the plans, what you need is you need to put the right processes over there, and that process should be in alignment with your plans. So that's the second pillar. If suppose you have got the plans, you have got the process, then the third key element or third pillar comes is the people. If you are not working with the right people, if you don't have the right people like Peter or shepherds or something like that, then probably we'll always struggle. We need people at the leadership level, we need the people at the front lines, we need people everywhere over there. So hence, getting the third pillar, which is the people, are most important things. And once we have got these 3 pillars already aligned, which is plans, process, and people, our profit is guaranteed. And that I have learned in a very hard way, guys. And not only me, I'm sure there are millions of other people who are learning this, but it's question of how many of have got the courage to share that, thinking, oh, this is my secret. Yeah, I don't want to reveal it to anyone. I've got nothing to hide. I've got no competition over here. If people are, helping themselves and growing, that's good for me because I love that. I love helping people. So that's what my first, pillar is. Can we go to the next one, please? Keep going, please. I just wanted to know. Keep going. Business aura. Deal. Okay, let's stick to the deal. I think let me share one more, and then probably I'm taking too much of time, so I'll probably stop over here. And for third one, please speak to me after the show or within the show or connect on the LinkedIn, and I'll share the third one. This is one of the biggest success story which I have received from following this mechanism. You will never find this anywhere else. That's my proprietary, the 4 pillars of success as well as deal. Deal is, as the name suggests, DEAL. What we need to do in business is, as a business owner, we need to be free from everything. We should not be doing the work. I have got invested in 41 brands so far, and I'm the most useless guy in this universe. People say I don't have anything to do, and that's why I'm standing over here. If I have got great business, I should be doing my business. What am I doing over here? But this is where activity happens. I believe in relations. I believe in bringing people together. I believe in building the communities, and hence I'm over here. But how can I do that? How can I still run my 41 businesses? The formula for that is D, delegate. If I can free myself and come over here and meet lovely people like you, share my thoughts, my experience, and delegate everything which I have got so that other people can do in my business, that's the greatest, formula, I would say. So delegation is the key. If we can't delegate it, reprioritize it. Pass it to someone else, see whether it is critical or important or not, and that's called elimination. Get into your list, eliminate things which is not required, and that's the second formula, second stage of this. So if we can't delegate something, like coming over here, I can't delegate it. See if we can reprioritize a few things and be here. So that's the elimination. And if we can't eliminate something, make sure you are doing any activity once, and then trying to set up the formula, automate it with the processes and systems and everything else, and save up 80% of your time. If you can save 80% of time, that's automation where it is going to help. But still there will be 20% which you cannot do by anything, because you can't delegate, you can't eliminate, you can't automate. What are you going to do? Work the people like you who are behind you. You have got great people around you. Get into that environment. Paul mentioned about network, the power of network. Go into that environment, build the network, build that power. Work with those people, and probably from there you can leverage with the partnership, with the collaboration, with the right people and mindset over there. So that is the second, success which I'm, success formula which I'm going to share. The deal methodology. Of course, I'm writing a book onto this. So, please, be aware of that. Maybe, when the books comes out, buy it, look at it. If you don't want to buy it, come to me and I'll send you the free signed copy as well. But, there is great lot which is going to happen over there. But with this, I would also like to, do one more thing. I would like to share the third element over here, and that's just, tip of the iceberg. So all this formula which I have just mentioned to you, that's 10% of what we get into the whole strategy. And as iceberg says, 90% of the entire iceberg is hidden inside the sea, right? We can't see it. So here, these are the things which you can do it. We can get it from there. But what I can do, I'm definitely going to call one more person. You all have met him over here, and he works very closely with Peter. And Peter has passed his apology, and I have taken that advantage, to just take the stage and share the stage on behalf of him. But I would like, to call Paul over here, Paul Smolinski, and just share his experience with Peter and what we are going to do to take the businesses from this journey, whether they wanted to aspire to grow a 25,000 pound a year, where that's the things, or they wanted to make 25,000 pound per month income, or they wanted to make 25,000 per week or per day or per hour. That's the journey which is going to happen. If you wanted to make 25,000 per hour, that's 100 million pound, guys, into your bank accounts as a revenue every year. If you wanted to make 25,000 pound a year, that's another journey which you have got. So you have to choose where you wanted to be. You have to choose what you wanted to do. But I would like to call Paul over here. Paul, do you mind please coming here?
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone. Thank you, Santosh. I work closely with Peter. Me and Peter work with 4 different companies. He's the CEO of the Hungarian British Business Alliance. I'm Global Sales Director. Plus we work on other 3 other companies, so I've known him very well. We were flying together on the same flight from Manchester, and I drove up yesterday at 5:30 in the morning. I said, right, I'll meet you there at 10 o'clock. And he said, guess what, I've had terrible night's sleeping, food poisoning. So he's absolutely, gutted not being here. But his background, Peter, is the former CEO of Virgin Media, 3.6 billion, 12,000 employees. And one of the things that I say is surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with successful people. Why do I work in 4 different companies with that caliber? Obviously, I work closely with Richard Branson. He worked with Richard Branson. So we have some great synergies. And I'll give you a little first tip how I met Peter. Peter was pretty much an introvert. He doesn't like great public speaker on stage, but take him to an event and introduce the people, very, very shy. Didn't like mixing with people, and I sort of changed his attitude towards that, because when I met him in Covent Garden for lunch, he said, oh, I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. He would go to an event, do a talk to 500 or 1,000 people and shoot off. And I say, right, so what did you get out of it? Well, the audience said, brilliant, good round of applause. And the question I said to him, who did you meet? He said, I didn't meet anyone. I said, well, think about it. And he went, yeah. And I said, why don't you want to meet people? And he said, well, I don't know if anyone wants to talk to me. Everyone wants to talk to him. So his mindset's changed, and obviously working closely with him, we've got some amazing platforms and projects that we're working with. And if you want to come to our events going forward, you'll meet him individually. Great guy. Santosh has met him many times. But also what he does, he's a business coach to a $1 billion company. They own 70 companies. He mentors the 2 sons. They turn over $1 billion. So what I do and what I've learned is, when I surround myself with that sort of caliber, I'm learning from some really $1 billion companies. And like I said to you people in the room on my presentation earlier on, it's who you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with the very best. The question is how do you get to those people? How do you network with those people? How do you get involved on a daily basis? Yeah? Come talk to me. I can teach you how to do that. I'll teach you the strategies. And I'll share with you on stage here. Someone said to me, how did you get involved with Richard Branson? And do you know how I got involved with him? I'll tell you the story. I went to an event in Ireland, and there was 500 people in the audience. And I stood on stage and said, right, anyone in this room here knows Richard Branson? And one guy put his hand up. He said, oh, I know a girl who just come back from Necker Islands with Richard, and her name's Hannah, blah, blah, blah. I went, okay, well, can you introduce you to Hannah? Anyway, cut long story short, Hannah Hawkwood, I think her name was. She went to the event. I met her with her on LinkedIn, met her, I said, listen, do me a favour, I want to get connected to Richard Branson. How do I do it? Impossible. She said, but what I can do is I can introduce you to his tennis coach. So I said, I'll tell you what, if you introduce me to his tennis coach, I will give you an opportunity to talk on my stage in front of 5,000 people. Thank you, Paul, really appreciate it. So I got introduced to his tennis coach. His tennis coach is James Kluski. He is a professional tennis player, and he plays with Richard Branson, and he teaches how to play tennis at the events. So I met James, had a chat with him, I said to James, how do I get in front of Richard? He said, well, very, very unlikely. I said, tell you what, introduce me to his right-hand man. Who's the guy he works with on a daily basis? He said, right, let me introduce you to his right-hand man. His name is Trevor Short. A lot of you don't even know who this guy is, but he does world exclusive events in America with billionaires and multimillionaires. So I said to James, thanks for doing that. For doing that, you're going to talk on my stage. Come to my show, spoke in front of 5,000 people. He's a business coach. That was the reward. How do I help him to gain his benefit from helping me? So I got introduced to Trevor. So there was an event at Wimbledon. Every single year, Richard Branson goes to Wimbledon. He goes to the semi-finals. You'll see him this year now at the semi-finals of Wimbledon. Massive fat tennis fan, plays a lot. So I met this guy called Trevor. He said, come to my event in Wimbledon. Went to this event, and there was 100 people there, all tennis pros, millionaires, billionaires. It was in a private house, £10 million house. Got all the photos on my phone. So I met this guy here, and I met the 3 partners who work with Richard. Anyway, cut long story short, I said, right, how do I get to meet Richard? And he said to me, well, this is what we do. We do this private event once a year. It's invitation only. It's only for celebrities, and it's for multi-billionaire companies and millionaires who come support this charity events. It's called It's called the Necker Cup. If you hashtag it or Google it, it's there. You can go to the event and actually buy tickets. If I tell you the price of the tickets to go, yeah, you'll see why. They start at $50,000. That's the start, up to £1 million. So I said to this guy, how do I get involved? And the only reason how I got involved to work with Richard Branson is who I work with. I work with Lord Sugar, I work with Grant Cardone. They spoke at my event the previous year. And I said to these guys, this is who I'm bringing to my events. That put me in the league of the Billionaire League. And the only reason how I got those 2 guys, Richard Branson and Grant Cardone, is I had to pay their fee. Their fee was £250,000, right? Where am I going to get £250,000 from? And I raised it. I raised £500,000 for my event at a business show. And Santosh was there. Santosh met Lord Sugar. He met Grant Cardone. And it was one of the best events the UK's ever seen, ever, in 2018. And I raised that money, and my wife had said to me, it's impossible. We had an email from Lord Sugar saying his fee's that. She was in the middle of just typing the email to the apprentice. And he works with a company called Frank PR. That's who he represents. And she's just about saying, blah, 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 thanks for the offer, but no thanks. I said, don't press send yet. I said, I will personally raise that money. And I did. And I achieved that. I achieved that goal. I raised the money. And that put me in the $1 billion league to meet Richard Branson. He said, I tell you what then, come to the event of Richard Branson. Went to the island. I took a load of clients. There's none here in this room. Took a load of clients to the room. Went to the islands. We flew to Antigua. We went to Scrub Islands. I said, how do you know when you get to Richard Branson's house? It's like a Christmas tree lit up on the islands, in the British Virgin Islands, in the middle of the ocean. Goes to his house, and we go on the boat, and we go to see a Christmas tree. We walk in there, and I go on the golf cart up to his house, Big Royal Islands. And I walks in there, Richard Branson's just down there. Within 2 minutes, I had a selfie with Richard Branson, and I got to know him like we were best of mates forever. So I got that person to introduce me to, and my clients there, and I never forget the time, I did a live Facebook Live, right, to all my clients on Facebook for Richard Branson's house. And everyone must have spat their cornflakes out saying, what the hell's this guy doing in Richard Branson's house? And I built that relationship now. I presented with a photograph of a painting, and ever since then, Santosh knows I've got a contract where I'm the only person in the UK that can take clients to that event once a year to raise £5 million. And I'm going again this year now with Peter and a lot of his people. But it just goes to show, how do you meet certain people? And it all came from standing on a stage and saying to people, anyone in this room knows someone? And they go, no. Anyone know in this room know blah, blah, blah? Oh yeah, I know someone. Who do you know knows that person? And that's how I got to meet Richard Branson and work with him. That's my story.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. As guys said, Paul and me, we are working very closely with each other. We are trying to help lots of entrepreneurs over here. We touch base about the network and the environment. I think one of the things which I touch base in my golden nuggets is the mindset. Everything starts from the mindset. There's a great philosopher, great leader, Napoleon Hill. He said, "Whatever your mind can conceive and you can believe, you can achieve." So with that thought, have the right mindset, have the risk-taking capabilities, have the decisive actions, and if you think you can make 24,000 pound a year, you will be able to make it. If you think you can make 250,000 pound a year, you will be able to make it. If you think 100 million you can make it, because that thought has to be conceived in an idea, and the entire universe will come together to create an environment for you. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys. I know Peter couldn't be here, but I'm pretty sure we more than made up for it with Santosh and Paul. So thank you for listening. I believe we have a bit of a gap now between...
You may pick up in my accent, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about carbon offsetting. So, but before I do that, I just want to make sure that there's some people in the audience that might want to take notice of that and learn a little bit about it, because I can talk about a lot of things, as you'll get to know. I've built a couple of 8-figure businesses over my career, back on number 3 at the moment. The first one was a trade sale, the second thing we floated on the second board of the AIM, and the third one is in preparation as we speak. So that's not to say that I did it all myself. There's plenty in my book, which has gone to bestseller. I've got to get a plug in because I never remember. It's called Business Blunders and Bloody Great Ideas. And it's the story of why 52% of people in business survive despite their best efforts not to, and the rest fail. It's all the dumb stuff that we see and experience people in business trying to do. Part of my journey is that I've built communities, and I've always built communities, and I started with this particular journey in 1989. We have about 480,000 businesses in 31 countries that buy and sell among one another using a digital trade credit as the mechanism. And there's quite a few customers here today, including Santosh and his team, and Anthony Marshall I saw floating around, Steve Jones. There's a few people here that understand that community. So one of the themes that I speak about is community. You know, being in business can be a lonely place at times. It doesn't matter what size business that you're in. And so community and communication, networking, connections, getting insights, inspiration and ideas is one of the key things in running any business, and I don't care what that is. So I can speak to you all day about that, but today, Santosh has said, John, you're going to talk about carbon zero. So let me just explain, or ask a couple of questions. So there's usually 3 types of people, and these are not the ones that, there are 3 types of people in the world: those that watch things happen, others that make things happen, and others go, what happened? So we get that, but this is not these 3, right? So the types of people in the space that we're talking about today are either people that are climate skeptical. How many climate skeptics have we had floating around? And it's all right, we won't knock you down or whatnot. No climate skeptics. My God, this island must be a very green place to live. The second group of people are the ones that think, someone else will do something about it. I don't really need to do anything until the government tells me that I've got to do something about it. Anybody in that space? Yeah, there's a couple out there, fantastic. And then there's the third group that think, well, wait on, there might be some advantages in becoming more climate conscious during the course of our career in business and our career in life. There are people that are concerned that climate change will impact future generations, and every piece of evidence that I've seen says that human habitation of the earth is not helping. Okay, it might not be as bad as some scientists are warning us about, but it's like cigarette smoking, isn't it? There's no evidence that I've ever seen that cigarette smoking is good for you. All right. The only other thing, some people say it's bad for you. Some say, well, it doesn't make any difference. My grandfather lived to 182. But with the climate science, there's usually 2 camps. So let's take that slant today with this presentation on that some people are interested. there's a few reasons why you should be interested. Even if it's just selfish, you don't have to believe in the project. And I'll go through a couple of those things today if I can. By going like that. So here's a couple of selfish reasons as to why becoming, and I'll explain in a minute what's the difference between net zero and carbon neutrality for those that are not quite sure how that works and what the difference is. But the motivation to become carbon zero, and that is that your impact on the planet, creating carbon, is usually done through two things. One is your energy consumption, the other is transportation. They're the two big ones. So if you're moving stuff from A to B, or if you're turning a light on somewhere or whatnot, you are consuming energy and therefore creating a carbon footprint. Okay? If anybody's got any questions along the way, I'd rather do it now rather than the end. So if you're not understanding something that I'm talking about, nags, you can go to the toilet if that was the question.
Yeah, we are beginning to win contracts. That contract, of course, I'm relating it to the business contract. How does that work?
That's about what you're trying to keep me on track, is that what you're saying? So, good job. So, the selfish reasons are winning contracts. Now, why do I say that? The Bournemouth Council, the Exeter Council, Waltham Abbey in London. Now, I'm also a non-executive director of a wide format sign and print business, just so it gives me something else to do. One of the things that they must have in place in order to win the contract to make signs for the council is that we have to have a carbon neutrality certificate to show the supply chain. Okay, does that make sense? We can't put a tender in unless we are. So this is a forced thing. Right? We don't have any ethical or moral choice in this. If we want the business, if we want a tender for it, then we've got to become carbon neutral or in manufacturing. I just want to understand what types of businesses. Who's in a manufacturing type of business? You guys have got a couple. What about service businesses? That should be the most of you. Is there anybody else in there? Anything odd, like a hotel or a restaurant or an airline or a transportation company? No? Have we got the accountants in the room? One accountant? Lovely. Fantastic. Oh, two accountants. Brilliant. So, meeting sustainability targets can be important for a number of people. It can be a meeting for recruitment, for instance. So, if you're going to recruit people, some of the people running to your business today will be environmentally aware, environmentally conscious, and therefore if you've got a plan of some kind, they will want to come and work for you rather than a company that does what you do that doesn't have the same care about the environment. Does that make sense? So why not open up the field? Is anybody struggling with recruitment at the moment? Who employs staff? Anybody employs staff? You all work for a business? Now, it's a struggle out there to get decent staff. It really is. And I won't go into the reasons why I think that is. But if we can mitigate the opportunity for people to come work for us and give them an environment that they'd be proud to work for, that's going to increase our chance to recruit people. It's certainly not going to decrease it. Does that make sense? Those that are generally concerned about climate change, and there's various evidence. You can look around the world on, islands falling into the sea and other issues of more severe weather storms and all sorts of different things. The evidence is that it's not getting any better. So this activity, is creating issues that we haven't seen in quite a few hundred years, at least, since we started measuring stuff scientifically. Attracting new customers is another reason. So there are people that are out there, it's just like opening up a restaurant and having a vegan choice on the